people look at me and think I'm weird because I'm like, I wanted to be a stripper when I was young. I wanted to be a model when I was young. And I feel like now I'm kind of living my dream.
I love that. I love that. I relate so much to that. I really do.
Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jayne. I have a segment I'm calling Coffee Talk with Jayne. I am a wellness guru and I do specialize in helping sex workers and adult creators and entertainers. Welcome to episode 4. I am so glad that you are here. If you are just finding me, I want to welcome you to check out the rest of my Coffee Talk segments, specifically episode 2 and 3, where I interview friends of mine and on Naturel and Seshions. I've got those 2 episodes labeled down below. This episode is about the Permian Basin, and I really wanted to do this episode with my friend Seshions so that we can shine a light on sex workers and other hardworking individuals in the Permian Basin. Known for its booming oil fields and rugged terrain, the Permian Basin, a region that is rich with oil and opportunity. Places like Odessa, Texas are home to some of the highest paying oil rig jobs, many of which are held by individuals who have served time in prison. For those of you who don't know, prisoners have an immensely hard time getting connected back into our communities. Work and stability after being incarcerated is immensely challenging. But this part of the country can represent a second chance, a chance to rebuild their lives and contribute meaningfully to the economy, but often at a personal risk. And like ex-felons, sex workers also play a vital role in supporting the economy. Yet with both groups, society often places shame for getting our value. It's time to move beyond stigma and ensure that our contributions are recognized and remembered. It is time to dismantle stigma. As sex workers, we are part of this landscape, contributing in ways that are often overlooked. We help build the economy, provide entertainment, and offer a valuable human connection to those who endure some of the most dangerous jobs in this country. We are everyday people who contribute a valuable role in our communities. And this is why I wanted to do this specific episode. This episode shines a light on the Permian Basin, but it was really created to showcase the interconnected lives for those of us who may be forgotten, because it's time to recognize the humanity in all of us. I hope you enjoy it.
Alrighty, well, welcome back. We have Seshions back here with me, and I'm so excited. We're actually bring our coffee to Coffee Talk, and we were gonna just we should cheers. We're showcasing our coffee cups. I'm a vintage coffee cup collector. I love to find cool coffee cups at the thrift store, which oftentimes can mean chips. So I always have to be mindful of where I'm drinking on these. Right. But when you do coffee or tea, do you do iced coffee or hot coffee?
I prefer iced coffee. I'm not a hot beverage person. I'm a cold beverage person.
Samesies. So I wanted to invite you back here. So welcome back. And I feel like you're such a strong, smart woman. We have chemistry together and we can have good conversation. Most of all, because of your heart, where you want to lead, where you are leading. I feel like I've got to team up with people who have that equal same desire to help women. So that is why I've invited Sin to be with us today. The whole reason why we're doing this podcast is because I started watching a show called Landmen, brilliantly written by Taylor Sheridan. It is created by Taylor Sheridan, of course, and Christian Wallace. And after kind of deep diving in on the show, I found out that Christian Wallace actually has a podcast. And the podcast is really wonderfully written. It's called Boomtown. And I unknowingly started watching it without knowing that it was going to have 2 podcast episodes about sex work. And I thought, gosh, what a cool thing, one, that they were able to bring that into the podcast, because a lot of us get forgotten in all of these, shows, and like talking about how the wild wild west was built and all of these things, that sex workers had such a place and really a stronghold in being able to help build these towns, these businesses. And so I sent the episodes to you.
Mhm.
And today we're just going to be discussing some highlighted things in regards to that podcast. I am going to be linking the podcast below. So definitely check out those episodes. There's 2 episodes specifically, and I will label what they're called. I wanted to talk about with sex work is basically the parallels of what a modern day boomtown, like the Permian Basin, and how it parallels to the wild wild west and sex work. So the first thing that we will talk about is kind of about economics. During the gold rush, sex work provided critical services in an isolated male dominated mining town, and women often doubled as caregivers, entertainers, and confidants, fulfilling emotional and social needs as well as physical ones. So many sex workers reinvested their earnings into the town and also were contributors. Sounds kind of familiar to like me, anyway, as a sex worker today.
Anybody?
Right? And then also just in terms of being able to circle back into the economy and use what we make back into that is actually building the economy too. And I'm curious your thoughts on that specific parallel.
When you think of people that do this work, right? They're people, they're humans. So they're going to have to eat, shop, live, pay to live like anyone else. So it's just makes so much sense that it's like we have to pay taxes, we have to give and share into our communities if we want to build them up. Yeah, just like since the beginning of time and sex work was available, just look at the history throughout history, right? And you just follow that logic of history. You just see it in every culture across the board, just following the old west, right? And then the saloons, and like, you see TVs and shows, and they portray, how they work and all that. And these are everyday people. This is, your postman, your milkman, whatever, your friendly neighborhood superstore, whatever, wherever you shop. And you see these people every week, every day. These are human beings that you see every day. They're getting their groceries, their children go to the schools in the community, and it's like, yeah, economically they put into the communities throughout history because they are people who have to live and work. And even though this is the type of work they do, which should not be scrutinized because there's so many types of jobs in the world, and guess what? We're still part of the communities. We still have to contribute. We still want to build, you know, good places for people to live and grow and evolve. It just makes sense, but all the negativity that comes with it is what's, really just like nonsensical.
Like saying like everyday good people that we see anywhere, and that there's so many people who are afraid to even stand with us because they're afraid to like be labeled as bad. But I see so many of us, like, of course there's relative between what's good and bad. There's all kinds of people in every single industry. And I feel like really talking about how normal it is of your everyday people that we help, that we contribute to, that they contribute to us. Like it's it's an energy thing of back and forth. And
Right.
us, I feel like just talking about it helps more conversations to like grow.
Just even in my own little bubble of my life, right? I have friends, very close, longtime friends, and they know everything about what I do. They don't absolutely don't judge me for it, but in their head, they could never like fathom doing this kind of work, and that's perfectly fine because it's not for everyone. The people that
Right.
choose to do this kind of work, that's their choice, and if they're an adult, what's the problem? So just even within that, like I said, people I know what I do and are like, I could never do that. But then you look at other people's jobs and you're like, I could never do that. And it's a
Exactly.
job. Like
Yeah, exactly. I love how you put that because it is so true. Like I couldn't go be a surgeon, there's certain things that I don't like to see, you know.
right.
And,
Exactly. It's
and
all by the people. Like, what do you like? What are you driven towards? And
yeah. And I get that like on some of my comments on my YouTube, it was like, how dare you like lead people into doing this, and it's like, I'm not here to lead people from like doing something they don't want to. In fact, I'm very clear,
Mhm.
like, if you don't want to do something like this, don't do it because there's far more things that you can do. But like me, I know people look at me and think I'm weird because I'm like, I wanted to be a stripper when I was young. I wanted to be a model when I was young. And I
Mhm.
feel like now I'm kind of living my dream.
Love that. I love that. I relate so much to that. I really do.
Do you? That's so awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was always so attracted to these women, like, wow, they're so beautiful. And then I would hear like, oh, that's that and that's not good
Right.
and all that.
The
And then I
negative
like
connotations, right.
it's like a cause for like self-hatred too. I was like, oh, I must be bad if that's what
Right.
I want
The
to do.
indoctrinations that caused the shame that we did not have before when we were independently having these thoughts and feelings, right? No, there was no shame attached to it because we were very curious, and it was very driving for us. And then an outside factor that was probably close to us, right, said something
Yep.
negative that made us go, oh, we're bad and wrong and shame, and we can't have independent thought and feeling and be safe enough to share it with people close to me as if I could be myself and express myself freely. Oh, crazy.
That kind of circles back to just like resilience and autonomy, being able for us to be able to grab onto that. In the wild west, we're pioneers in their own right, navigating harsh environments with independence and resourcefulness. And some transitioned into other roles, becoming landowners and business owners. And that's the thing with this fucking sex work and whatever we're doing, whatever we want to do, however we want to make money, we get to go and buy and invest. And for me, like more women having money is powerful because we can help so many more people.
Exactly. The number one homeowner or home buyer, like right now, is like single independent women. Like that, it's like we're at the top because
Wow.
now that there's more access for women to be educated, to get the opportunity for positions in high paying jobs, right? So once we were allowed in a space, right, we excel because we are hardworking, we are driven, we are very intelligent. It's infuriating, it's mind-boggling, it's all those things that, as a gender, we were so oppressed, and pushed down so far. So to be in this space where we are now, and how so many women are just tearing up the world, the business world, just these strong, smart women. And I just am so happy and proud of them. But the thing is, like, we could have already been doing this alongside everyone else, and it's sad that it is so sad, and just so many things that it's like it took so long for us to be recognized as human beings. It's
Right.
just insane.
I love how you say that, like, so
It's because
nonchalant.
I just do not understand. I just cannot fathom and understand
Mhm.
how people can say, we want to control you and we don't want you to be smart or have any knowledge and know that we are controlling you.
Mhm.
So just stay right here. and we're not going to teach you anything. You will know nothing, okay? Because you'll run. You won't want to catch.
I feel like it's a deep-rooted insecurity. I truly do.
Absolutely.
And a story that they've made up in their own head for from the very ancient teachers of this behavior to then like people now, they still take some of those ancient teachings or anything that's older, like 400 or 500 years old, and still applying that into their life. It has learned, and also it's a taught insecurity at this point, I feel like.
Absolutely. It's the indoctrination of teachings that condense like knowledge, right? Because what's the most dangerous thing? The unknown, the knowledge, blah blah blah, right? So you can see how it was working through history, if you do a little research, and you in general. I'm not talking about you, I know you're smart. I'm like, you just think like, oh, I'm sure that there's tribes and cultures that are like, if you eat this while you're pregnant, these like old wives' tales and things and these myths and whatever lores and all of that. And they're like, if you eat this, you will have a demon. Or if you if your child has this color eyes, like you cheated on your husband, or like, just these assumptions and these like evil toxic things that are just put into place that people will just go along with, because if you don't listen, now you're on the op, and and like, be good and listen and follow the rules and do what we say and what we tell you. And if you have a daughter before a son, like your family is cursed, just like
just making up shit.
Horrible fucking things, just because of whatever jealousy, insecurity, BS that these are creating in their heads, like you said.
Right. Absolutely. And this kind of like leads into something I wanted to talk about with like just addressing gender imbalances. In the old Wild West towns, they were heavily male dominated, and the arrival of sex workers helped balance those social dynamics. They were some of the few women present in these towns. The specific business that we're talking about now, the modern oil and in the Permian Basin, they remain heavily male dominated environments, and sex workers are often playing a key role in creating a sense of normalcy and relief. And honestly, I think the relief is a big thing, because these men have dangerous jobs and they are highly stressed. And to me, I was re-listening to that podcast yesterday, and there's a lot of stories said like, well, these men, they come here and like this whole narrative of they must be really naughty and bad because they need XYZ, and really kind of playing into this whole role that, we as women, we're just here for like their pleasure or whatever.
Provide comfort, right?
Yes, we contribute to that. But in addition, we are the people that kind of understand them, the stress that they have and all of that, the work that we do and that we put into, as well. We have an understanding with them and a connection, in my mind.
I think what people also think, like, again, assumptions, because people really don't know unless you know somebody, you specifically have firsthand knowledge from speaking with somebody, your personal experience, you really have no idea. And now it's just judgment, it's assumption and judgment, and you're talking out of your where. So like, educate yourself when you are in a room and somebody starts whatever, like, you don't have to follow their narrative, everybody. You can think for yourself, and you can go, oh, let me have my own original thoughts. But like you said, I just feel like there's so many reasons anyone would seek out somebody that does this kind of work, because it's not always specifically physical work, right? It's very much emotional. It's very much mental as well. And nobody, I guess people just really, because that's not the like shock factor, because again, people are trying to say sexuality is so shocking, it's so shocking, oh my gosh. And yet everyone has these thoughts and feelings. Everybody wants to have certain experiences, right? And we're humans, so we're created to seek pleasure, not pain, unless you're a specific kind of person, which again, no shame for at all. These, again, blaming women, putting things onto women when we are doing a job, we are doing a service, we are providing something, right? It's
Yeah.
needed. There's a need. We are providing something for a need, right? And yet, oh no, don't do that, because let's have all these angry, aggressive, hurt people out here just in the world, or do you want people that are available to help them with some of the needs that they
Right.
have?
Yeah. Yeah. I 1000% agree with that. And for me, that kind of leads into like the decriminalization talk about sex work in general, and about just in that specific episode where there's a woman that's interviewed who mentions the word trafficking and things like that. I'm going to be doing a podcast specifically just addressing that, giving like what the definitions actually are, and how like that specific word is used to keep women who want a choice to stay in the industry. It's theatricalized, if that makes sense. Laws that are put in place to stop trafficking, they're then labeling like, dancers in the Permian Basin that they're contributing to trafficking. You know what I mean? Which
Right,
was
because they
interesting.
travel for work, like the people that are
Yeah.
there doing the Boomtown work, right? They're
Yeah.
traveling for work, right? And so these women are following the money line, traveling for work. And yet again, let's not here, let's over here.
Right. And then there's two big uh, dance clubs in the Permian Basin, and none of them have had any trafficking charges out of them. There's been two in the Permian Basin that are private clubs that are not pertaining to like the actual laws that are put in place.
Yep.
So there obviously is some mismessaging, and people don't want to hear that we as women want to do this work.
I think again, because of the conditioning, indoctrination, everyone's brain is only supposed to be so big so that they don't know as much as as much as I know, and so you don't do as well as I do, or blah blah blah.
Right.
And how everything is just meant to push everyone else down and uplift one kind of person. It's just insane. So to be like, again, shocking women that have bodily autonomy, women that can make their own choices, women that are choosing what type of job and work that they want to do. Shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know.
I can never. I just can never. It's so insane. If you ask men these questions, right? These guys, you ask them the same question. Oh, do you think you should be able to choose whatever you want to do in your life? Yeah, I do. Oh, do you think anybody should have the right to control your body? No, I don't. Oh, interesting. And so do you think you should be able to control anyone else? Oh, wait, I do actually. Oh, you do, right? We don't want to control anybody except ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah. I feel like this is a conversation ongoing within our industry, and more people need to be talking about it. It can be talked about forever. And circling back to something else that can be talked about forever, I'm just going to intro into our next podcast that you and I are going to be a part of, is ADHD. And I'm going to be posting that one 2 weeks after this specific podcast. You and I, we know lots of stuff about ADHD.
maybe perhaps some firsthand experience.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. If you have any specific information or ideas in regards to what we talked about today, I'd love to hear from you within the comments. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram and OnlyFans. And this is where we can find some sessions too, because I'm going to be putting her information in the link in a link below as well.
Come find us.
What'd you say?
I said, come find us.